God is not great. Greetings, brothers and sisters. To take God into land would signify wickedness. A heretic against God, please be. Indeed, this speech is a judgment in a society wherein Christianity is deemed untouchable, high above the pedestal. But why? Why such hold Why hold such a high standard? As much as I would be willing to disprove God's existence, I would instead question God as a being, as a character. For these 7 minutes of my life, an omnipotent, omniscient, and eternally loving being is watching over. Using real sculptures in the context of the present day, I am today sack this praised being to better question, is God even great? A first prototype told experiment, the human species of 12,000 years ago, in this very planet, civilization of life, 25 years old. Vast arrays of microorganisms carrying disease, the abundance of famine, earthquakes, volcanoes. Fights over drives over resources. For this 96,000 years, God watches with folded arms, with coldness, with ignorance, and only around 3 to 4,000 years ago, only in the most barbaric, barren, and illiterate part of the Middle East, God has decided to intervene. Not in China nor in Egypt, wherein people can read, and not an elaborate universal network. No, this omnipotent, omniscient being, whom created the stars, the planets, and life, concluded that what better way to announce his presence than by flood, by genocides, by human sacrifices, dreams, and unfalsifiable testimonies, and if this does not in any way pronounce his authority, he just doesn't know what will. Even I, you, given the maximum power to manipulate the universe, could pronounce authority better than a burning bush, a parted sea, or stone tablets, I am certain. Secondly, God is said to hold absolute love. How benevolent is a God that cares about what food you eat, blood or pork, what part of the genitalia is like, your sexual activity, what positions you have sex, the number of partners you have, your biological identity, your sexual needs. And who was offended, the thoughts you're churning every waking moment from birth. And if this contradict his will, you are to be punished for eternity. What is more love than that? To quote Whisper Hitchens, assuming a creator, we are made to sick and commanded to be well. Made sick and commanded to be well. By being greedy for critical pace, swift to punish the original sins he lovingly gave. A loving creator, tenderly giving unforgivable sins to everyone afterwards, and a chance for salvation, total redemption indeed, by active unconditional worship towards him who made the problem in the first place. What is more totalitarian than that? A ghastly regime worse than North Korea. Well, at least in North Korea you could die. With God, that is where the fun begins. This is where individuality is shattered. Idle and total bliss, part of empathy, or in hell tormented. What sense, what logic in such a position be? How did finite acts of sin translate into infinite punishment? Meant to impose a lesson, what lesson after hell? God's cruelty pursued. Now I turn to the holy book and note the grimmest authorities he is done and encouraged. Leviticus chapter 25, God supports the enslavement of people in as inheritable positions. Deuteronomy chapter 20, God encouraged the active enslavement of the people the Israelites have conquered. How much did God who condemned the slavery of Israel under the Egyptians rally his own people to conquer and enslave other nations? How great is such God and his universal love. With Genesis, God proclaims he treats women undeserving of respect. Chapter 2 proclaimed Eve as a helper to Adam. Chapter 3, Eve having no authority. While God praises Lot as he willingly to give his daughter as if objects of pleasure. As 1 Timothy chapter 2 proclaims that women must stay silent. Divine prejudice as if sex was a choice. Painted using scripture, what lies is an immoral psychotic being. Now pragmatically looking at the bigger picture, who is he? Where is he? Where is he rather? Letting crimes using his name happen every day. The bombing of Asian sites, the rape of South America, the Iraq War, the rape of the colonial Philippines. Is he indifferent towards it? Does he not care about those who use him as a scapegoat to inflict the most heinous crime possible? The abuse of children under the Church Acts to Green Cuban state. Where is justice then? Where is his love, his morals? As prejudices are saw the generations using archaic doctrines in his name. Why is he hiding? Why, when the world needs him the most, he slumbers in the heavens? Why favor the complex conflicts of barbaric 18th century nomads when the world is corrupted with expanding evil as I speak? Who but a slave would want to adhere to such a delinquent being? His ignorance in his totalitarian regime, a celestial North Korea where even death is not an escape, wherein in birth we are shackled in his will. Those who bring themselves to believe in the greatness of such God convict themselves of first stupidity and immorality. How can you possibly praise such a being without surrendering your most critical faculties? Now, do you wish for such a being to exist? Do you wish to be an eternal slave, under the cruel domination of a spoiled, incompetent narcissist? Then you shall be relieved that God does not exist, for if he is, then you should be relieved that God does not exist, for he is not great. Thank you. That's it. Yes. Totally. Yes. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Vincent J. H. Horka. To critique God little encouraged in this country with your burdens, I had to take the eyes of eternity. Let's say the criteria. This is funny. We're half body. We just have body enough to remote die. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Vincent J. H. Morgan. To critique, let alone question the church into this land with dwelleth within us, I have to actively against God, the greatest being. In fact, I have to memorize this. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm okay. To be God is a land would signify wickedness, a heretic actively against God's greatest being. Indeed, the speech is a word that was in the society, where Christianity is seen untouchable, high above the pedestal. But why? Why there is but why? Why hold such a high standard? As much as I would be willing to critique or disprove God's existence, I would instead take a novel approach and critique God as a being, as a character. For these 7 minutes of my life, I'm going to assume question God as a being, as a character. For these 7 minutes of my life, I'm going to presume the existence of Christianity is God. Right as I speak, right as you listen, right as other people judge me. An omnipotent, omniscient, and eternally loving being, is watching over. Using revealed script, using revealed, using revealed scripture, using revealed scriptures in the context of our present day, I'm to dissect this great supreme being to beg a question: Is God even great? Yes. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Vincent J.H. Walker. To critique God in this country would signify wickedness, a heretic actively against the greatest being, against God, the greatest being. Indeed, this speech is established in this country wherein Christianity. Indeed, this speech is established in this society wherein Christianity is deemed untouchable, high above the pedestal. But why? Why hold such high privilege? Why hold such a high standard? Why hold such a high standard? As much as I would be willing to critique or to disprove, as much as I would be willing to disprove God's existence, I would instead question God as a being, as a character. For this 7 minutes of my life, I'm going to presume the existence of Christianity as God. Right as I speak, right as you listen, right as people judge me. An omnipotent, omniscient, eternally loving is watching over. Using revealed scriptures in the context of the present day, I'm to dissect this supreme being to beg a question: Is God even great? See God in His language and forgiveness, I had to take and believe it's God the greatest being. Indeed, the speech is a declaration in the society where Christianity is deemed untouchable, high above the pedestal. But why? Why hold such a high standard? As much as I would be willing to destroy the existence of God, I would instead question God as a being, as a character. For this 7 minutes of my life, I'm going to assume the existence of Christianity. God was a speaker, as you listen, or omnipotent, omniscient, and eternal loving being is watching over, using revealed scriptures and in the context of even using revealed scriptures in the context of the present day. I'm to accept this supreme. I'm to accept this great supreme being. The beg a question is God in great. I first posed a thought experiment. The human species said to have tried 100,000 years ago. Um, I first posed a thought experiment. The human species are said to have thrived 1,000 years ago on this very planet. Exploitation of life, 25 years. Vast arrays of microorganisms carrying disease. Plugs, flame, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, fight over drives, fight over resources. For this 95, 96,000 years, heaven watches with folded arms, with coldness, with ignorance. And only 3 to 4 thousand years ago, only in the most barbarian, illiterate, the Middle East, God has decided to intervene. Not in China nor in Egypt where people can read, and not through an elaborate universal network. No, this omnipotent, omniscient being who created the stars, the planets, and life concluded that what better way to announce his presence than by floods, by plagues, by genocides, human sacrifices, dreams, and unfalsifiable testimonies. And if this does not in any way pronounce his authority, he just doesn't know what will. But I am certain that even I or you can know to leave the universe. can pronounce authority better than, say, a burning bush, a parted sea, or stone tablets. Secondly, God too is said to hold absolute law. How benevolent is a Secondly, God too is said to hold absolute love. How benevolent is a God who cares about what food you eat, blood or pork, what part of your genitalia is sliced, your sexual activity, what positions you have sex, the number of partners you have, your biological identity, the uniqueness of your sexuality, and the wise offender, the thoughts you ensure in every waking moment since birth. And if these contradict his will, you are meant to be punished for eternity. What is more love than that? To quote Christopher Hitchens, assuming creature, we are made sick and commanded to be well. Made sick and commanded to be well. By a being greasy for uncritical praise, swift to punish the original sins that he lovingly gave. A loving creator tenderly giving unforgivable sins to everyone at birth, and a chance for salvation, redemption indeed, by the act of unconditional worship towards him who made the problem in the first place. What is more totalitarian than that? What ghastly regime worse than North Korea? Where at least in North Korea you could die. With God, that is where the fun begins. This is where your individuality is shattered and your total beings devoid of empathy, revolution, or doubt, formatted forever. What sense, what logic can such imposition be? How did finite acts of sin translate into infinite punishment, punishment meant to impose a lesson? What lesson of hell, God's world universe? Now I turn to the Holy Book and note the grievous atrocities he has done or encouraged. Leviticus chapter 25, God supports the enslavement of the people. God supported the revealed as inheritable possessions. Deuteronomy chapter 2 encouraged the active commitment of the people to Israelites and conquer. How could such a God who would turn to slavery of Israel under the Egyptians rally his people to enslave and conquer other nations? How great is such a God? It is universal law. With Genesis, God proclaims with Genesis, God proclaims to treat women undeserving of respect. Chapter Genesis chapter 2 proclaimed that God is merely a helper to Adam. Genesis chapter 3, Eve having no authority. While God praises Lot for giving his daughters, while God praises Lot as he willingly gave his daughters as his object of pleasure. Subject of pleasure, as 1 Timothy chapter 2 proclaims that women must stay silent. What? Nonsense. Divine prejudice as if sex was a choice. Painted just in scripture, what lies is an immoral and psychotic. Is an immoral and psychotic. Now, pragmatically, looking at the bigger picture, where is he? Where is he letting crimes using his name happen every day? The bomb sites, the rape of Iran, the rape of South America, the Philippines. Is he indifferent towards it? Does he not care about those who use him as a scapegoat to inflict the most heinous crime impossible? But those who use him as a scapegoat to inflict the most heinous crime imaginable. The abuse of children under churches acts too grim to be studied. Where is justice then? Where is his love? Where is his morals? As prejudices are sawed over to the next generation using archaic doctrines. Why is he hiding? Why, when the world needs him the most, his numbers to the heavens? Why favor the conflicts of the barbaric 18th century nomads when the world is corrupted with expanding evil as I speak? Who but a slave would want to adhere to such a delinquent way? His ignorance and his totalitarian regime, a celestial Lord Korea where that even is not an escape, where in birth we are shackled by his will. Those who bring themselves in the greatness of belief, those who bring themselves to believe in the greatness of such a God convict themselves of their stupidity and immorality. How can you possibly praise such being without surrendering your most critical faculties? Now, do you wish for such a being to exist? Do you wish to be an eternal slave under the cruel domination of a spoiled, incompetent narcissist? Then we should really know that God does not exist, for he is not being. If you're shut your actions until you what you've signed, no skip it to I look very suitably on me. If you're shut your actions until you what you've signed, right. Well, I want to this. I first posed a thought experiment. The human species was said to have tried 1,000 years ago on this very planet. Expectation of life 25 years. A vast array of microorganisms curing disease. Vast arrays of microorganisms curing disease. The abundance of famine, earthquakes, volcanoes, fight over tribes over resources. For this 95, 96,000 years, God watches with folded arms, with coldness, with ignorance, and only around 3 to 4,000 years ago. Here comes the Gia check for your head, just so better, don't do wrong, better, wrong, better. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Vincent J. Schwager. To critique God in this land would signify wickedness. Are you heretic actively against God, so to speak? Indeed, this speech is exaggeration in this society wherein Christianity is deemed untouchable, high above the pedestal. But why? Why hold such a high standard? As much as he would be willing to dispute God's existence, I would instead question God as a being, as a character. For these 7 minutes of my life, I'm going to question the existence of Christianity as God. Why does I speak? Why does he listen? Why does other people judge me? An omnipotent, omniscient, eternally loving being is watching over. Using revealed scriptures in the context of the present day, I'm going to dissect this great supreme being to beg a question: is God even good? My first part was a thought experiment. The humans are said, the human species are said to have thrived 1,000 years ago in this very planet. Expectation of life 25 years. Vast arrays of microorganisms carrying disease. The abundance of famine, earthquakes, and volcanoes that fight over tribes of resources. For just 95 years old, 96,000 years, God watches with folded arms with coolness, with ignorance, and only around 3 to 4,000 years ago, only in the most barbaric, barren, and illiterate parts of the Middle East, God has decided to intervene. Not in Egypt nor in China where people can read. No. And not in China nor in Egypt where people can read, and not through an elaborate universal system, and not through an elaborate universal network. Nope. This omniscient, omnipotent being who created the stars, the planets, and life, and concluded that what better way to announce his presence than by floods, by plagues, genocides, human sacrifices, dreams, and unfalsifiable testimonies. And if this does not in any way pronounce his authority, he just doesn't know what will. He just doesn't know what will. He just does not know what will. I am certain that even I or you, given the maximum power to manipulate the universe, can pronounce authority better than a burning bush, a potted sea, or stone tablets. Secondly, God too is said to hold absolute love. How benevolent is a God that deeply cares about what food you eat, blood or pork, what part of genitalia slice, your sexual activity, what positions of sex, the number of partners you have, their biological identity, the innateness of your sexuality, do as offended every thought your children, every waking moment from birth. And if these contradict with this will, and if these contradict with his will, you are meant to be punished for eternity. What is more love than God? To quote Christopher Hitchens, assuming a creator, we are made sick and commanded to be well. Made sick and commanded to be well. By a being greedy for uncritical praise, swift to punish the original sins that he lovingly gave. A loving creator, tenderly giving unforgivable sins to everyone upward, and a chance for salvation, total redemption indeed, by act of unconditional worship towards Him who made the problem in the first place. What is more totalitarian than that? What ghastly regime worse than North Korea? Where at least North Korea, and if we die, with God, death is where the fun begins. This is where your individuality is shattered. Hide your entitled bliss devoid of enmity or in hell tormented. What sense, what logic in such imposition be? How did finite acts of sin translate into infinite punishment? Punishment meant to impose a lesson. What lesson after all? Good school to pursue. Now I turn to the Holy Book, and that the crimson consultancy has done and encouraged. Leviticus chapter 25, God's opposed enslavement of people the other eyes have conquered. How can such a God who condemned the slavery of Israel under the Egyptians rally his people to enslave other nations? How great is such God in his universal love? With Genesis, God proclaims to treat women undeserving of respect. Genesis chapter 2 states that Eve is merely a helper to Adam, while chapter 3 states that Eve Genesis chapter 2 proclaimed Eve as a helper to Adam, while Genesis chapter 2 proclaimed Eve as a helper to Adam, chapter 3 Eve having no authority. Well, God praised his Lot as he willingly gave his daughters, as he willingly gave his daughters as if objects of pleasure. What is more love? Well, God praised his Lot as he willingly gave his daughters as if objects of pleasure. As 1 Timothy chapter 2 proclaims that women must stay silent. Divine prejudice as if sex is a choice. Introducing scripture what lies is an immoral psychotic. Now pragmatically, looking at the bigger picture, what is he letting crimes using his name happen every day? The bombing invasion size, the rape of South America, the rape of Catalonia, the Iraq War. The war. War. by the pre-colonial Philippines. The scenes of unwanted, does he not care about those using as a scapegoat to inflict the most heinous crimes imaginable? The abuse of children under the church acts supreme to even state or mention. Where is justice done? Where is his love, his morals, his prejudices are sought, his prejudices are sought to generations using archaic doctrines in his name. Why is he hiding? Why, when the world needs him the most, he slumbers in the heavens? Why favor the conflicts of the barbaric 18th century nomads when the world is corrupted with smiling evil as they speak? Who but a slave would want to adhere such a could be? His ignorance and his totalitarian regime. His celestial mortuary or death is not an escape. We're in part we're shackled by his will. Those who bring themselves to believe in the greatness of such being convict themselves of first stupidity and immorality. How can you possibly believe or how can you possibly praise such being without slaughtering your most critical faculties? Now, do you wish to be an eternal slave? Now, do you wish for such a being to exist? Do you wish to be an eternal slave under the cruel domination of a sick, oh, under the cruel domination of a spoiled, incompetent narcissist? Then you should believe that God does not exist, for He is not great. Thank you. It's odd. Always true.
Ano? Ako din ko napigina dili. Ano ra rek? Ah, lambot ah. Tara, paano mo napigod? Oy, biyan mo lagi biyan na kay nagkaraya. Oy, di ka nagaling kay sir. Day. Pangkat ka nagaling. Ha? Ah. Ano? Hindi ka naman sulod. Yan ang kasapwat. Doon. Ano ba nang bago kumangit hindi ka maglagaw? Uli ka ron? Hindi ka, hindi kayo sipikat iron.
Hi. Perhaps right now. Goodbye. When I charge the lovely tape and then prepare for the